Hello guys, I hope you are doing pretty fucking dope. So in this video, we'll be creating this crazy 3D animation. So this animation looks so much fucking cool. So it is built using only 3.js and the animation and all of the things that you are seeing here, it is solely built on 3.js. So it has many different shapes like donuts and capsule and cubes, and there is text written that is hello green sock. So you can customize this text or do anything you like on it. So this 3D effect is so much fucking cool, and it is uh, easy to build this effect, and you can use this on your portfolio or the hero section of your portfolio, and the HR will be too much impressed by looking this your creative portfolio. So let's get right into this coding. So I have already started my project, and so first thing I'll have to do is I will create a separate route for this project, so that it will be rendered as a different route on my browser. So I will create new folder inside the app directory called 3d text 3d dash text, and inside this I will create a file called page.tsx, and I will rfc this, and inside this folder I will create uh no inside this file, inside this folder I will create another file called uh, text animation like this .tsx, and I will also rafc this, and for the page I will have to do rafce so that it will be exported as default. And inside this page I will import that component called text animation like this, and inside this text animation I will create I will give class name of height of screen and bj lime of 500 to check that if this route is working perfectly or not. So if I save this, and if I save all, if I will close all of the files first, and I will go inside this text animation, and if I visit that route, our route is 3, what is our route? 3d text 3d dash text. So if I visit this route, as you can see that our changes has been reflected here. So this means that our route is working perfectly. So now what I can do is, so it will be animation in this component, there will be so much animation and interaction on this component. So it is a good idea to mark this component as a client component. So I will mark this as use client. Instead of this div I will return a canvas so that our animation will be run inside this canvas. So I have marked this component as client component, and I have created a canvas here. So to target this canvas I will have to create a ref. So I will create a ref called canvas ref, const canvas ref equals to use ref. The initial value will be null, and as a ref I will pass canvas ref here, just like this. And after that I will have to import 3.js. So to import 3.js it is really simple. You can do like this: import star as import everything uh, as 3 from 3. So 3 is a 3.js library you have to install. I have also teached you in my previous video, so you can look at previous video and understand what is 3.js and how to set up a basic project and do cool animation on the 3.js. So after that what you can do is, after creating a ref and importing 3.js, now what I will do is I will create a scene. So I will create a scene inside the 3.js. Const scene equals to new 3.scene, and we'll be using window width and window height in this code, so it is better to store it in a variable. So instead of writing window dot inner width and window dot inner height every single time, I will just store it in variable so that I can reuse it later. So for the window width, I will use window dot inner width just like this, and window height I will use window dot inner height. And after that, what I will do is I will set up a camera. So without camera, we cannot see anything on our scene. So to set up our camera, what I will do is I will write const camera equals to new 3 dot. I'll use perspective camera, and it has different coordinates, or you can pass different values. Like first one is FOB, aspect, near, far, values you have to pass. So these are the tried and tested value. So I will pass this. FOB will be 35, and for the aspect I will give win width divided by win height. This will be the aspect ratio of our canvas, and 0.1 for the near, and 250 for the far. 0.1. Okay, so this will be our camera, and I will slightly change the camera position to camera dot position on z axis to 5. Okay, so after setting up our camera, our next step is to set up our render and controllers. To set up our renderer and control setup, I think it's CNTR, control setup. So to create a renderer, you have to assign a renderer. Area const renderer equals to new 3 dot WebGL renderer. I am using WebGL renderer here, and I am using canvas and NT-alias to be true, so that the NT-alias property makes the edges of the 3D model to be more smooth. So there will be no any jagged lines on the 3D object. So I am using canvas on the 3G WebGL renderer. So for the canvas to use, you have to use it on like this. So there is no canvas present, so it is complaining us that no canvas present. So to use the canvas, you have to use const canvas equals to canvas ref dot current, just like this. And what is it complaining about? Type null is no. So the type will be defined later. And I forgot one thing, that you have to use this. You have to put this code inside the use effect, so that is done. It will not run run on every re-render. So I will write it under use effect just like this. Sorry, just like this. And I will copy and paste this code here. Sorry, we'll paste this code here. Okay, it is looking good. It is looking good. So if you can write this, if canvas is present, only do this. So the warning is gone. So I have set up the renderer here. So the WebGL renderer handles rendering the scene and camera to the canvas element. So and for the controls, I am using we can use orbit controls. And before using orbit controls, I have to set the renderer width and height, so that it takes up the full window width and height. So for renderer dot, you can write set size, win width and win height, just like this. And to set up our controls, create a variable called controls equals to new. I am using orbit controls here. You have to import it like this: orbit controls, 3 example GSM add-ons. So the orbit controls does not come in built inside the Three.js library. So it is separated inside the three example and JSM file, so that you can use it as a add-ons. So after installing Three.js, it will be imported like this. You do not have to install any additional library for the orbit controls. And for the orbit controls, you have to pass the camera and the canvas, just like this. So the controls has been set up. So the what does orbit controls does? It enables user interaction like rotation and zooming for our scene. And our main step will be to load our texture and our font. So firstly, what I will do is I will have to use texture loader and font loader. So we'll initialize our font here. Font setup. So to load our font, we can use const font loader, just like this, uh, equals to new font loader, which also comes from add-ons. And for the font loader, you can visit Three.js documentation, Three.js fonts, and you can visit this link. And here as you can see that here is an example of how you can use the font and font loader here. So the font loader, actually it comes from three add-ons: loader, font loader.js. So I will just copy this import and use it here, and I will remove this import, just like this. Okay, so the font loader has been initialized. And after that, what I will do is, for the 3D font to be used, you have to have a font that is typeface. I mean, there are many software that convert the normal font into typeface JSON font. So you can source that software online, or you can use online software. There are many online software present. If you search on Google, you can find that. So I have already downloaded a typeface font for this project. So I will just copy and paste this file on this public folder, so that I can use it in this project. I will just copy this file and paste it right here. So inside this fonts folder, there is many fonts. So I will use this Helvetica or Helvetica regular typeface.json file to use it our font. So after font loader has been initialized, you can use this function font loader dot load, and you can give the path. So the it is present inside public slash fonts slash I will use helvetica regular typeface.json file, and it will take a callback function. I will write it like this, and inside this callback function, what I will write, I will do console.log to see that if the font is loaded or not. So font is loaded here. So if I save this and if I go on my project, nothing is rendering here, no surprise. So if I go on a console, as you can see that the font has not been loaded, because I have to remove this public file. So if I save this and if I now refresh the page, as you can see that font is loaded here. So this means our font loader has been working perfectly. So after that, and you can also, if you have any confusion, you can also read the documentation. After that, after the font has been loaded, you have to use text geometry to use any text as a 3D object. So you can sort it right here. You can use text geometry here. So to use text geometry, you can use it like this. So there is font loader, and after the font has been loaded, there is a callback function, and inside this callback function, you have to provide geometry to that text, so that it converts your normal text into a 3D text. So there are many parameters here, and you can just copy and paste this file right here. and you can read this documentation. It is very good. So what I will do is I will just type this manually. I will remove this console log and I will write const text geometry equals to new text geometry, which again comes from, where does the text geometry comes from? The text geometry comes from like this. You can copy this import, and instead of this you can paste it right here. After that, uh, I'll do like this, and inside this you can write your text that will be rendered as a 3D. So I will write hello green sock. You can write anything you like here, and inside this I will pass object, and for the font you can use font like this. So the font comes right here. After the font has been loaded, the font will be come here, the font will come here like this. And in new JavaScript syntax, if the key and value are same, you can use it like this. So there are many parameters present here like size. uh, I will give some normal value here, size, height of 0.2. So these value are all tested, and these value are working perfectly with me. So you can try out your own value and see what does it look like on your end. So for the bevel enabled I'll be using true, and for the bevel thickness, so bevel is just like the round edges that is present on our text. I will give 0.03, and for the bevel size I will give 0.02, and for the bevel offset I will give 0, and for the bevel segments I will give 5. So what this text geometry does, it creates the 3D representation of the text with the parameters for size, height, and bevels. Bevels are like the rounded edges that are present on the text. So the font loader loads the font file and passes it to the text geometry to generate our 3D text. So now what I will do is I will create a basic material for the text to render our text in 3D. So for the text, what I will do is I will create I will create a material equals to new 3.mesh basic material. Color of I will give it like red, and our text will be, so to create our text mesh I will create new 3.mesh. I will pass the text geometry and the material, and after that what I will do is I will add it to the scene. So I will dot scene dot add text, and after that I will, what I will do is I will write animate function to render this on our canvas. So I will do, what I will do is const animate equals to arrow function. I will use request animation frame, and I will call this function continuously, and what I will do is I will renderer renderer dot, renderer dot render scene and camera, scene and the camera, and I will use controls controls uh, dot object, so that if I change anything on the scene it will be updated that control. And I will call this animate function right here. So it is present inside the canvas. So what I will do is I will move this function inside this if statement, just like this. And if I save this, and if I go here and if I reload the page, as you can see that our 3D text has been rendered. And for the text I will use white color instead of red so that it is more visible. And if I save this, as you can see that our text has been rendered, our 3D text has been rendered here. And after that I will use wireframe property here, uh, on the material wireframe to true, so that I can see all of the triangles and the bevels that are present on our text. So if I turn this on, as you can see that the wireframe property is on, and this is our text is looking like if the wireframe property is on. So the 3D object is all made up of the triangles. It is made up of all of the triangles, as you can see. And the bevels that we are using is that this rounding property, this rounding edges that are present here, this thing is called bevels. This thing is called bevel. So this is the wireframe, and you can check that bevel thickness and size height by turning this property on. And as you can see that this text is not centered in our canvas. So to center this text, it is really simple. What we can do is you can write it here. To center this text geometry, you can do text geometry dot center. If you call this function and you save this, and if I reload the page, now you can see that our text has been centered perfectly. And you can zoom in and zoom out and see and enjoy all of this wireframe perfectly. So I will turn off this wireframe. So now we have already set up our 3D text. As you can see that our 3D text has been rendered here. So now what we will do is we will add some material to the text so that it looks so fucking cool, so that the text uh, looks like it is built upon something like some metalness or some wood or any texture you like. So to add the texture, we have to download the texture from this website. So this is the GitHub link. So there are many matte cap here. So this is the material that we will be using on our text. You can head over to this website, and I will provide you this link on description. And you can download any type of texture you like. Suppose you like this type of texture, so you go on and click on it. And here, as you can see, this 10,024 px 512 px, this is the size that you can download, and the texture will look like this blue color. And after that, click on here and it will download you. And right click and save image as, and download it on your file. So I have already downloaded some texture. So what I will do is I will copy and paste this on my public file. So inside the public file I will create another folder called matcap, just like this. And inside this matcap I will paste all of the materials that I have downloaded. I will copy. Firstly, I will delete this folder because I have already created the folder. Inside the public file, I will just paste the file. So matcaps, inside the matcaps, so there are many materials just like this. So I have downloaded 8 materials to use on our texture. So after downloading that, now let's add some texture on our text. So to use texture, you have to initialize the texture loader. Create a variable called texture loader to load our texture. So inside create a variable called texture loader. So create a variable called texture loader here. your texture loader, just like this. And inside this texture loader you have to initialize the texture loader from Three.js. 3 dot texture loader. And after that you have to create a variable called, I will create a variable called matcap texture. So this will be the texture that we will be using. And to use the matcap texture you have to use texture loader. Sorry, texture, oh sorry, it has become text loader. XTURE texture loader. And I'll copy and paste this here, texture loader dot load. And you have to provide the texture that you have downloaded. So I have put it inside the public folder, matcaps and slash one.png. So I am using the first one, uh, which look like this, so this is the texture that I am using in this project, and you can update and use any texture that you find interesting. So after that you have initialized the matcap texture. And to use on this text material we will remove this color property and write matcap on this, pass the matcap texture, just like this. And if you save this and look at your text, as you can see, no effect has been applied because we have not added to that into our text. So in console it is okay, it is saying that this does not exist because we are importing it from the public file. So to use the file from the public files you have to remove this public name, just like this, and save. And as you can see that nothing has been applied. So I'll just reload the page. So the problem here is that you are using mesh basic material. So to use the matcap material you have to change it to mesh matcap material, just like this, mesh matcap material, to use that matcap texture. So if I save this and if I now reload the page, as you can see that our material has been applied on this text, and this text looks like it has been built with some metal, and this looks so good, so now you can update your texture, matcap texture also. So if I use the second matcap material and if I save this and if I now reload the page, as you can see that our matcap has been changed, and it the effect has been applied on our text. So it looks good, so to create the different geometric shape effect and using that same matcap material, now we'll have to create a donut geometry, torus geometry, and we'll create many donut as we like. So to do that what I will do is, firstly I will create torus geometry to create our donut. I will create it right here. I will create const do not geometry equals to new 3 dot torus geometry, and I will give some value to it, 0.3 for the radius, 0.2 and 20 and 45. So these are the tried and tested value. You can use this value. So after using donut geometry, what I will do is I will create hundreds of donut on this text, so that it will create a very cool effect with some random positioning and random rotation. Now let's do that. So we have initialized our donut geometry, and to create hundreds of donuts you can use for loop. So I will use for loop here. For let I equals to 0, I is less than 100, we are creating 100 of donuts, I plus plus, sorry, I plus plus. And for donut I will create new 3 dot mesh. I will create mesh for the donut, which will be donut geometry, and for the material I am using the same material that I am using for the text, which is this material, so that the both text and donut are made up of the same material. After that, what I will do is I will add this do not to our scene. So scene dot add do not. And if I save this, and now if I reload the page, as you can see that hundreds of do not has been created here, but it looks like a single do not because the hundreds of do not position are in the same position because it is rendered on the same position. So what we will have to do is we'll have to separate its position on x, y, and z. So now to use a random position for the x, y, and z axis, what I will do is I will use do not dot position dot x equals to math dot random minus I am using this offset so that it is equally distributed in left and right and into the, and I will multiply it by 10. So if I save this and if I now reload the page, as you can see that the donut has been separated in x and y in left and right direction. So same thing for y and z also. I will just copy and paste this. Sorry, y, and for the z also I will do the same. And if I save this and reload the page, as you can see that the donut has been created successfully and it looks so cool. It looks so fucking cool. So this is how you can create a random uh, do not in random position. So I also want to create the rotation factor of the do not so that the rotation will be also be random and it will be look more natural and more cool. So to rotate in random direction, what you can do is you can apply the same logic. Do not dot rotation dot x. I will use math dot random. Math dot random into I will using math dot pi. So math dot pi is the pi value. So that means that it will rotate in 180 degrees in random position. So for the y value, I will using rotation dot x y value. And now if I save this, and now if I reload the page, as you can see that the donut has been rotated in random direction, and this looks cool. This looks so fucking cool. So this is the geometry that I had added, this torus geometry. You can use another geometry also. You can use cube, you can use capsule, you can use any geometry that you like and control the x, y, and z factor and render it right here. So now what I will do is I will add some cubes here to make it more interesting. So the process will be similar. So I will do it very fast. I will just copy and paste this cube geometry right here, and for the cube also I am using it inside this for loop. And for the cube rotation, cube position and rotation, I will use the same thing just like this. And if I now save this and if I now reload the page, you have to add do not and cube just like this. And if I reload the page, as you can see that the cube and do not has already been added to the scene with some random position and rotation. So now we can use the scale factor also. So to use the scale factor, what you can do is you can use random scale factor like const scale equals to math dot random, and you can set do not scale to be do not dot scale dot set to be scale and scale in x, y, and z value. The scale will be random. So if I now reload the page, as you can see that some donuts are small and some are big, and this create a very interesting effect. And I will do the same thing for cube also. For the cube also I will use cube dot scale dot set. I'll use the same scale random value, scale and scale in x, y and z axis. Now if I reload the page, as you can see that the cube and donut has been scaled randomly, and it is looking good, it is looking good. And to create it more interesting, you can use auto rotate to be true in the controls property. So in controls you can set it like this: controls dot auto rotate equals to true, just like this. And now if you reload the page, as you can see that our controls has been auto rotated, and this looks so amazing, this looks so amazing. And you can try out different types of material into it. Like if I use material 1, and if I now reload the page, as you can see that this also looks good, this also looks good. And it is looking good. And if you reload the page, the cube and the box will be in random position, just like this. And if I use ninth material, and if I save this, oh sorry, there is no ninth, I think 8 will be there. 8, and if I save this, as you can see that the material are changing, and the text and this geometry shape are of the same material, and it looks so amazing. And you can use this section in your portfolio, in hero section or anything on your portfolio, to impress the recruiter. And this looks good, this looks good. So I think you enjoy this video, and if you enjoy the video, do not forget to like the video and comment. And if you have any questions, you can ask me on the comment section, and I will see you in my next video.